That's America.
Carter, are you prepared to take the constitutional oath?
I am.
Would you place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand and repeat after me?
Okay, so that big ass cowboy looking motherfucker that you see me training with right there is Robert Oliver. And Rob is one of very few people that I admire in multiple areas of life. He has solved one of the biggest problems that all of us face in life. And that problem is the money problem. You see, he's made an amount of money that most people will never touch. And he could probably buy you and I right now if he wanted to. And as you can see here, he's not a boring dork who sits at his desk all day, and he's not a senile old man who can't even enjoy the wealth. My guy Rob is rich, and he doesn't have to walk with a cane or pay women for affection. And I think that's pretty cool. So obviously it wasn't always this way. A few years ago, he sold a brand called Genius for multiple 8 figures. And I wanted to have him on my channel so I could selfishly ask him a few questions that I was curious about, and you're lucky enough to be here as a fly on the wall. Alright, so I'm gonna stop glazing here and play the rest of this video.
Stop it. Stop it.
Yeah. You guys stay
Key to
fed.
success.
Gotta stay fed. Wallet, stomach, all of it. No, really though, I think the key to success is like nicotine and caffeine, for real. Like, we live in a culture that was built off fucking stimulants and progress.
Yep.
And the truth is just most of y'all are not stimming enough.
So I don't want to spend like too much time on your story just because you've done so many podcasts and so many videos about that. But just to like catch everybody up, little Cliff Notes version of like where you're at now and just a background on you.
I graduated college. I knew I wasn't gonna ever work for someone else. Basically, I saw my uncle was running this like consulting, you know, branch of my dad's company, and they were helping companies sell on Amazon. This guy's clueless. He's making bank. He's driving like a nice BMW. And I was like, there's something there. And so I basically looked into the platform, loved supplements at the time. I realized that if you could help other companies sell on there, then you could make money. So I became like this Amazon expert, and slowly just started kind of carving my teeth in that. And then I'd say like 2 years in, you know, I'm probably making like 20, 30 grand a month. It's like an agency type of person, right? I'm living at home. And then I started developing some of these friendships with like Amazon only brands. They're brand new at the time. And then I had one of my friends sell for like 8 million bucks. And that was when the light bulb came on. I go, oh shit, this isn't like a good thing for the time being. This could like change my life forever.
Yeah.
And so I poured into that world. And that's pretty much the whole story. Now, I must have started on Amazon when I was 21, bro. I'm getting old. Like all the years just started blending together. So I must have started on Amazon like 21, 22, because I had started Genius by the time I was 23, and I exited right before my 27th birthday. So I was 26.
So another thing I found interesting about you is like you don't try to fit into this mold of like the typical rich guy. Like you see that really frequently with somebody who make a fuck ton of money and then they just like all start dressing in Loro Piana or start doing the same. But I think you've had like this creative self-expression that even over the last couple years, like I have your Instagram pulled up here, like you look very different from that guy in that photo, and that was what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think in today's world we're really forced with like algorithms and just the way we communicate and exist into these like groups, and these like you have to look that way, or you have to do this, or so and so's doing this. And I think you lose a lot of your soul with that. I think we're like blank canvases, like waiting to be fucking drawn on.
Yeah.
And only you can kind of chisel that, or your marble, or however you want to think about it. And so if you look through me over the years, I change a lot. Like, and sometimes I don't even feel like a real person. Like, it's actually becoming strange with social media growing. But it's all growth, and it's all progress, and it's all journey. Like, I know so many people that look back and they look the same from where they were, or they look worse. And the point of all of it is to kind of continue along. Like, we're supposed to change, we're supposed to grow, we're supposed to develop. And I think anytime you find an outlet to express yourself that you're interested in, whether it be this, right? Like I was saying, watching you make the videos yourself, and like there's art that goes into that. You're finding your style, it's expressive. And so whenever you find means of that outlet, I think it makes us more whole as people. So that could be fashion, that could be fitness, it could be whatever. But you're a blank canvas, and only you can kind of paint it in a way that satisfies your own soul. So yeah, a lot of it's just an outlet for me. In this phase of my life, I've really tried to stand as almost a symbol of really not caring what people think, because I think that's so important for everyone. And not enough people inherently have the confidence or in a place in their life where they can truly disregard everyone else's opinion, right? But I don't think anyone's happy until they do that. Like when you're living for others' expectations of what you're supposed to be, whether that be your friend group, whether that be your parents, like whatever, it ruins you. It really does. You morph into a world or a life that you don't naturally want to live. You hear the stories about, like, you know, the investment banker who followed his parents' career path and then one day says fuck all of it and goes and becomes an artist or whatever, and he's living a happier, more fulfilled life. I realized I've been kind of blessed at this position in my life where I made a lot of money pretty young, and I'm going to keep doing it, but all the while I don't have to answer to anyone. And so when people look at what I'm doing, I want them to have the confidence to be who they want to be, right? I want them to be fans of themselves, and that's really what I'm trying to do with all of it.
What was it like just from a mental state for you, going from whatever you had in your bank account to after the exit, just like, you know, now being in a position where if you never wanted to work again, you could live comfortably and not have to? Was there like an existential crisis that you went through, or what was that like?
Yeah, no, there was. I took a year and a half of like what I would call more spiritual or like soul work. Like seriously, I mean, you see some old pictures of me, I went through kind of like a little hippie phase where I wanted to just like heal my soul for real and find like nirvana, find bliss. Like I meditated a lot, and I feel like I said, everyone changes, and that was like a very unique phase that I wouldn't recognize that person today. Because eventually I realized, like, okay, yeah, that is bliss. Yeah, there is this state of like conscious, consistent contentment where like nothing else matters, but we exist in the real world.
Right.
Like, period. And I woke up one day and I was like, you know, I miss this game. I love this game. And so let me see if I can't take pieces of that and bring it to this next chapter of my life. But no, definitely, bro. Like, I didn't do anything with the money for like 2 years. I just like sat there, and it was strange, but that was all part of that personal growth and development.
Yeah. Did you feel like you were equipped to handle it?
No, not at all. Not at all. It takes a long time to learn how to have money.
Yeah. And
it takes a long time to learn how to get your money working for you. And like, forever it was just numbers on a screen. Like I didn't go buy a nice car. Like I bought that Tesla. It's like a $120,000 car, you know, like a week after I closed. I would say it took 3 or 4 years of being around other, you know, wealthy people when I was in Puerto Rico and stuff to realize that it's easier to turn millions into more millions than it is to get that first chunk, but it takes a long time to learn how to do that.
Yep. Okay, so I imagine at one point you felt really lost. Like, I think that's usually what drives people to get into entrepreneurship in general. What would your advice be to somebody who is in that situation and like you see everybody that's making money online, they just feel lost, they don't know where to start? Well, how did you start? How did you get out of that, like, I don't know what the fuck I want to do with my life phase?
Yeah, no, bro. I mean, I felt lost upwards until like 2 years ago, like straight up. And I went through like a whole other existential thing, I had a little health scare. I'm telling you, the answer to all of that is this whole like life maxing thing. Like, just focus on maxing out your fucking stats. Whatever you're picking, whether that be like, you need like a plethora of things. You can't have too many things, but you need like a physical thing, you need like a relationships thing, and then you obviously need the business thing. And you just have to focus on those. Like, if you're gonna do fucking copywriting, you need to be the best copywriter. And you need to know that comes from reps. And if you're gonna start boxing, you need to continually level up, because there really is, it's like, I think it's a Jimmy thing, I first heard it, but it's progress is peace, right?
Yeah.
Or peace is progress or whatever. But that comes from focusing on a handful of things, tuning out all the noise, because there's always gonna be people doing way better than you. There's gonna be people doing worse. And the more you just bring it under that life maxing umbrella, like say, hey, I'm here to max out my stats, I'm here to make my own maximum impact on this world, and that's just what I'm gonna do day by day. I'm not always gonna feel great, I'm not always gonna, you know, feel down.
Yeah.
But then the more you can train your mind in that same way and try to dissociate and realize that your mind is also one of those like weapons that you need to maximize and really like level up. When I got back to that, when I realized like my brain is the same as my body, but it's from like I need to get ahead of my thoughts. Like, I have a consciousness, and the consciousness is what dictates everything. And so how much am I gonna let myself get down? Let me stop that immediately and just focus on the work I need to do. And you'd be amazed, the more you do that and the more it starts to compound. You look at a guy like Trump, maybe you gotta bleep his name on YouTube, I don't know. But like everything that dude's been through, and the fact, and you think about all the lawsuits, and he's a billionaire, has all these different things, all these different stresses. But the fact he can still walk in a UFC event days after getting federally indicted and just put his hand up, you go, okay, he's like really tough right here.
Yeah.
And that's a developed skill over time. And so I would recommend starting that as young as fucking possible, and it will take you anywhere.
Okay, so I don't plan on having kids anytime soon, but I am curious, going from somebody who just has to, you know, worry about yourself, building your own business, to getting married, having kids, what's that like?
Keyword plan. You heard it here no, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna put that out there. But no, I think that's one of those ones that I've come to realize, I don't know if enough people think this, but you should. Raising kids is the most important thing you'll ever do. It'll be more impactful than building any business. Like, you're extending your bloodline, you know, and that's what humans seek to do. We want a legacy that extends forward. And so, like, one great outlet is, hey, I'd love to have a company that exists well beyond me. But your kids are highly likely to, and they're likely to reproduce, and so on and so forth. And so I've been thinking a lot about this. How do you instill like a generational effect where they can continue to be good? Because there's all sorts of statistics where people lose their money and all that stuff. And so for me, it happens naturally. Like, the second you have a child, life is no longer about you. Life's no longer about you and your wife's relationship or you and your girl's relationship. All of a sudden, the sole purpose of existence is to bring that thing into the world in a proper way. And it changes everything. Like, I can't lie or downplay that in any way. It changes how you think about the world. It makes you realize your own time is very finite. I think we all kind of know that in some way, but once you have a kid, like, you really feel it. It feels like time moves faster. The moves you make matter more. Maybe you become a little less risk adverse because you know you're saving for someone else. And so there's all these different, I'd say, traps and then also antiquated concepts as well that people try to pass forward, right? Like, we exist in a time now, I mean, I could go like way philosophical with all of this, but I look around and, like, in today's world, it seems like men are expected to do half of the kid things.
Yeah.
And in older times, like, men were expected to provide, and that was like much more natural. In the modern world, we've got away from a lot of the natural biological like wirings that all of us have, and I think it creates a lot of friction and a lot of animosity and a lot of ruined relationships and a lot of fucked up kids. And so being able to see that clearly and kind of blaze your own trail, it's refreshing. I mean, it really is, because as I was saying earlier about how we have to figure out this whole life thing and figure out ourselves, kids are a great accelerator with that, and they automatically shine a new perspective into your world.
Okay, so we both grew up as hoopers, and I know you played in college. How do you think basketball, or just lessons that you've learned from being an athlete, has translated to business and life in general?
Yo, it's everything. The sooner people realize that entrepreneurship is a sport, the better off they're gonna be. And so a lot of athletes, like, you look at Kobe, he's the perfect example. Kobe was so obsessive in everything he does. There's all sorts of like almost folk-esque stories of him losing a game and being at the gym at 4 in the morning. When he took that to entrepreneurship, there's no like surprise that he fucking crushed it. Jordan's the same way, right? Some of the Jordan stories aren't as popularized, but these guys have this mindset that they go all in. They're obsessive, they're committed to the process, they're committed to the game, and they want to fucking win. And I developed that through basketball. You probably developed that through basketball. Like, it's this inherent trait that comes from athletes. And if you're not an athlete watching this, like, no stress, for real, because some of the best business people I know found their sport in entrepreneurship. But it truly is that. And the quicker you treat it like that, across the board. Like, the beauty of entrepreneurship is you can play 50 seasons, right? Your body doesn't give out, but you might be in your rookie year. Like, just know it's your rookie year. You might have a rough rookie year. You might be in a sophomore slump, right? But ultimately, if you zoom out and you realize this is a game and you want to be playing it for 20, 30, 40 years at a high level, just commit to that process and know that you need some level of obsessive nature with all of it. That's what's helped me get ahead. I am not the smartest guy. I am not like, I don't have a lot of those inherent traits, but bro, like, I will go for it. I will commit my life to something and I will not quit. And shit, that's what it's about.
Yeah. Kobe wrote like a whole article about obsession. He called Obsession is Natural.
Yeah.
And I think it like has to transmute. Like, if you get obsessed with basketball or video games, like at a young age, like pretty much everybody eventually gets obsessive over something, like whether it's a game or something silly. You know, that obsession has to go somewhere, or I think you're just gonna drive yourself crazy. Like, I think those are the people that end up as drug addicts, or like the ones that can't find a new outlet to steer that ship towards. Like, you've got all this energy and all this ambition in you, and you are naturally hardwired to like go hunt, like go stalk an animal and kill the prey. And if you can't find something else in life to be able to do that with, then like you're perpetually lost, bro.
And the other downside with that is modern society is engineered to hijack that shit in its own name. Like, I didn't know, like, apparently porn addiction is legit like a huge issue for a lot of young men. Yeah. And all that's doing is manipulating that obsessive nature. Video games, same thing, manipulating that obsessive nature. So, I mean, honestly, to succeed as a guy in today's world, chances are, if you can just cut out most of the things that are designed to hijack your attention and your obsession, you are going to succeed. Like, eventually your obsession will gravitate towards a natural outlet, towards a productive outlet. But unfortunately, too many guys like get, I don't think they don't think about it, and they don't realize that their obsession is being pulled into all of these horrible angles, and ultimately that's where you lose.
To me, doing something that I don't want to do has always felt like absolute torture and absolute hell. But when I do something that I want to do and that like I'm passionate about, yeah, I can be completely obsessive with it. Have you kind of been the same way, like in that sense where when you get hooked on something, you're just an animal?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's like that natural obsessive nature, you know. It's when you find that flow state, you can just go. So like back in the day for me, the Amazon algorithm stuff was fascinating to me for whatever reason, and like all the little different SEO components and how you rank on a page, and I would try to reverse engineer all the shit people were doing, and it came very natural to me. The challenge that happens in business, even at this level, is to build anything of scale or like permanent substance. There's a lot of tasks you don't like doing, right? Like just period. And now at my age, like I find it even more painful. And so what I try to do for those is like just obsessively delegate. Like, cause something, it's gotten to the point where I just won't do it. Like it's kind of sucks because some things need to get done, but it'll be like, you know, something on the ops side or talking to a manufacturer or anything in that biz ops world, I do not like. I know I don't like it. I had to learn it with Genius, but that would always take me out of my flow state. It would take me out of my highest and best use case. And so part of entrepreneurship is learning to solve for those particular problems. Like my partner AJ, you know, who's worth a couple $100 million, he sold a massive company. He's really good at plugging and playing, and we started a couple companies together, and he hates all of the startup stuff. He just wants to get the bodies in there, build the team, and then he loves to be like chairman of the board level. Like he likes to, like that's what he likes to do. He likes to get his reports and make strategic decisions and all of that stuff. But you could see the same effect with him. Like he hated the weeds of the startup, whereas like I love that stuff. I'm like, let me find that alpha that can take it from 0 to 20 million. And he's like, all right, cool, hand me a company that's 20 million and I could probably take it to 100. And so just finding that niche or you know, area that you're really highest and best use. Like that's the natural remedy for ADD. Finding that component, it goes a long way. And then training yourself to identify all the areas you don't like and hire for them, because you're going to be so, or partnering with someone who's good at it, because you're going to be so unproductive in those. Honestly, with Genius, when I think back, you know, my best friend that like we had a rocky relationship through that company, but he was the balance of me. I was the marketing, like creative guy, and he was the guy that came in and put in all this systems, ops, like all of that stuff. That came natural to him. He liked it. He would rip an Adderall and spend 14 hours fixing our books, right? Like trying to find the one little problem. And those two things balanced us out perfectly. And like I wouldn't have been able to do that. I never would have spent 14 hours in QuickBooks, right? And so, yeah, just find the area you're really interested in. Go deep.
Okay, so I have a theory that most successful people believe in God or end up believing in God at some point, because things have always happened like too perfectly for me to where I just like was forced to almost return to the idea that there's a higher power, that there's something that's guiding me, because I was like, there's too much shit that kind of happened by chance that all aligned perfectly. And I was watching one of your videos, and what stuck out to me was Isaiah 41:10, and just like the cadence that you started to see that verse after you went through, you found out you had cancer, and then you started to see it more with the Kanye thing and everything. So if you could just talk a little bit about like kind of what that process has been like for you as far as returning to God, or like what you went through with that.
Yeah, no, honestly, like God is fake, bro, and that whole thing is it's a cope for people. You see, like randomness and chance mathematically dictates everything. We're in this universe with infinite possibilities, and so it's all that Nassim Nicholas Taleb stuff. Black Swan, the world is ruled by unforeseen events that we can't predict, and he wrote this masterpiece called Fooled by Randomness, that we're really good because we like stories, because we like narratives, that we trick ourselves into everything happens for a reason. We need to assign purpose to things. And when I believed everything I just said, my life really fucking sucked, okay? And so I went through 3 different phases here. When I was building Genius, I felt like just in tune with the universe and this flow, and I felt like I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, and I'm building with my homies, and like everything is just unfolding exactly how it's supposed to. And then I got that money, and I told you I spent those years like kind of learning how to be rich and learning how to protect your money, and it led me to this school of thought by what I was just talking about, Nassim Nicholas Taleb. And I mean, long story short, it's like, oh, okay, everything's math, and this is how you protect your portfolio, and blah, 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 blah. And there's some rationale with it, and my life was just inherently a lot fucking worse. And that all broke after that YouTube video that you're talking about. And a string of things. Like, I used to love Nassim's work, and he's a great writer, and it's worth absorbing and understanding. But then I see this same guy, like, on Twitter, he went from being like this kind of based Bitcoin dude who was, you know, all on that, to like, no, we need to do lockdowns to stop the spread. And you might need to mute some of that on the video or whatever, but all of these things broke for me, right, as I moved to Puerto Rico, and that happened, and then I went through that event where it was like, nah, like, bro, something's happening here. Like, there's something guiding everything, and the more you're in tune with that, and the less you fight it, and honestly, the less you think, the more you find God. Mm-hmm. And obviously, the start of my answer was a joke, right? And since I've gone back to that, like, everything has exponentially grown. Like, my money, my relationships, my sense of purpose in this world, finding all of the answers, because I'm in tune with God. I mean, period. And I think when you let go to that and stop trying to fight it and understand that, like, there is more, and you zoom all the way out and you just give into that, there's less friction. Yeah. And when you're over rational and you like all that Taleb stuff, you ruin your own life inherently. And I mean, that's all I can really say to it. Like, you see shots being called, you see the universe like conspiring in all of our favors. Like we're all in tune with that shit, and we're building in a particular way. And I think it's beautiful. Like, I think it's yeah. Again, you look back like 6 months ago or a year ago, and it's like, wow, look at the progress. And it's all because I've submitted to that and realized that there's so few things I'm actually in control of, and it's honestly a beautiful thing. Totally.
I think it's interesting what you said, like, your life has only gotten better once you stopped prescribing to the belief that you said at first. It's like, whether you're right or, like, whether it's right or not, it's in your best interest to believe that there is some sort of higher power that's guiding you. Do you want to be the
philosophical dickhead in the room whose life sucks, or do you want it all? You know, and it's a pretty clear choice to me.
Okay, last question I got for you. So on like the more practical side, I've always been someone who, I understand how powerful habits are, and I understand like building a routine that kind of aligns with the life that you want to live, and being able to explore yourself and better understand yourself. So what are like some more practical things? Like, I know you meditate, I don't know if you still do, but like meditation and journaling and obviously working out, stuff like that. Like, how have you used different ways of self-improvement, and how has that impacted you?
Self-improvement is masturbation. Self-destruction, that's the answer. That's an old Fight Club quote that I absolutely love, and there's so much meaning in that. See, you gotta understand, everyone's optimal flow state is going to be different because we're all wired in a different way. Like, fucking cold plunges might be the holy grail to one person, and another person might find them dumb as fuck. right? And so what I've kind of learned as I zoom out with a lot of this stuff, there's this duality in learning to toe the line between routine and absolute chaos. I am best when I'm locked in. I have a very particular work setup. I have the same work setup in Miami, Puerto Rico, and Austin, where I have my standing desk. I have like all my things in a particular way, and I have a gym that I train at. And my life is structured around those key components. I want to stay hydrated, I want to get sun, and I want to work to a level that pushes things forward. And then that gets stale. For me, it tends to be every 6 weeks. And what do? I smash the whole thing, and I go somewhere where there's no routine whatsoever. I can go to New York for a week and stay at a hotel and find a new gym and find a coffee shop and find conversations and do a podcast with someone I don't know. And for whatever reason, the neurological breakup of that is perfect for me. And I think there's a lot of truth in that for humans in general. Just towing this line, if you think of the yin and yang between order and chaos, you need a level of order and you need a level of chaos. And we're engineered in that way. I've heard you talk about it. You go to different, you find a coffee shop, and at a certain point, it's no longer serving that purpose, and you break it up. But I think finding that ultimate answer, the more you zoom out and the more you progress, it seems to be relatively natural to a lot of humans. Like, you notice a lot of billionaires have different bases, and they'll spend one time here and whatever. But for me, it continues to refine more in that. Like I know I need a very particular work setup. I know I want my lighting, I know I want my camera for what I'm doing, and I'm happy when I have all of those things. And if I don't have them and I'm in an area and I'm not intentionally breaking up my routine, like right now in Miami, I want this to be a home base, but we don't have the video place set up. And so that creates a level of friction and stress that I just don't like. Like, it pulls me out of that optimal flow. And so again, designing your life with that perfect balance between chaos and order, some self-improvement and some self-destruction.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share this with your grandma, and go check out Uncle Rob's channel because his shit's fire too. Honestly, I wasn't even expecting this video to be this long, but Uncle's spitting and I'm not gonna be the one that cuts him off. Anyway, I hope you're loving the videos. I really like making them. Let's keep life maxing, let's keep getting richer, and I will see you on the top, boys.